I am unstoppable when I know what I want and why.
That is the mantra of my guest today, the unstoppable Jennifer Magley. Hello, friend. Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Brassy broadcast. I'm Jen Eads. I'm a musician, a student of the creative universe, and a curious girl full of questions. I'm also the head broad in charge at the Brassy Broadcasting Company, where I partner with the doers and the makers of this world to put them in the ears, heads, and hearts of new audiences with podcasts and other audio goodness. Are you a doer and a maker? Do you have something to say? Then drop me a line at Jen, Jen, at brassybroad.com if you want to set up a quick phone call to see if I might be able to help you grow and better serve your audience. Before we get into my conversation with Jennifer, I want to share what has been in my ears this week, because I believe so strongly that the voices and words that we hear in our little noggins help shape how we think, and we become our thoughts. I'm a big fan of Oprah's Super Soul Sundays. I always learn something new whenever I watch an episode. Well, guess what? Oprah has a podcast now called Super Soul Conversations. I listened to the 2-part episode with Brene Brown. Part 1 is on daring greatly, and part 2 is living with a whole heart. I'm going to have to go back and listen to both of these again. They were so good, and I feel like I didn't even have the capability to let all of that soak in. It's been an emotional week. I'm recording this episode intro the week after Charlottesville. The second podcast I want to share is a conversation around what happened in Charlottesville. Conversations like this are the reason that I am so in love with podcasting. It's an opportunity to have and share a real conversation between real people. This is where the magic happens. We learn and we get a better understanding because there's a back and forth dialogue. It's not like those stupid cable TV shows with 4 big mouth people sitting around a table all talking over one another. Katie Ward from the Enthusiasm Enthusiast podcast had fellow podcaster Summer Martin from the Unconventional Woman podcast on her show. I'm fortunate to know both of these women. They are world-class podcasters, and I'm a fan of both of their shows. This is a really enlightening conversation. Summer also recorded an episode for her podcast, The Unconventional Woman, as the events were unfolding on Saturday. It's super raw and unedited. She just pressed record and started talking. It's emotional and it's moving. I'll have links to all of these podcasts that I've mentioned in the show notes. Now let's dive into this week's conversation. I am unstoppable when I know what I want and why. That is a powerful statement. Let's say it together. Don't be shy. I am unstoppable when I know what I want and why. That is the mantra of my guest, Jennifer Magley. Jennifer is the founder of Open Gym Indy, a personal fitness concierge service. She's also an author and a former Division I college athlete and coach. And she shared with me during our conversation that she had to learn how to be likable. Jennifer's expectations of excellence and her straight to the point, no BS communication style could be off-putting, especially to those with fragile egos. Some folks just need a little sugarcoating. Friends, this might surprise you, but a long time ago, in a management career far, far away, I was sent to a conflict resolution class to learn better communication skills and how to use softening statements. Apparently, I too could come off as a little harsh and direct. I also probably shouldn't have gotten angry and flung a wad of keys at the wall so hard that they stuck in it. But I digress. What does it take to be unstoppable? We talk about that, as well as the Zen of John Mayer, the creative flow of Lil Wayne, and female entrepreneurship in Ketchikan, Alaska. We also talk about the new perspective that Jennifer gained on work from her recent trip on the Oprah Winfrey Cruise with her mom, because Oprah is always teaching us something. As always, you can find any links and resources we discuss in the show notes. Enjoy my conversation with Jennifer Magley.
So that's what I work on a lot.
Oh my gosh.
But it's interesting. It's a journey right now. It was so fun sharing at Linking Indie Women and sharing about being unstoppable. It was super cool because I was honored to ask to speak and to share, and I didn't have a title. So they just said, presenting Jennifer Magley. And I was like, oh, I'm not limited by this.
Oh, that's nice. I never
thought that was cool
about how limiting a title could be.
It is very, very interesting. I feel like we wear a lot of different hats. Mm-hmm. And so I never think of myself when I'm in the kitchen like, no, I'm a chef.
Right.
Or now I am a service provider, or now I'm a therapist as I'm being a friend. I'm thinking I'm just being me, right?
Right. Yeah, because there's all those different hats that we wear.
It's wild. So it gave me the opportunity to share on becoming unstoppable, which is something that is kind of a theme in my life right now, is empowering people to become unstoppable and what that means.
What does that mean?
Well, to me, it means that there's this great line, and who'd ever think that I would quote John Mayer as a Zen master? He's coming in town in September.
I have to go. I love him.
Like, do you? Oh, good.
Even though like crazy stuff comes out of his mouth sometimes when he opens it, but from a musicianship, just the way that I love to watch him interact with the band and just where he goes. Like, you can tell he's not even thinking.
He feels like a craftsman, almost.
Completely.
Like he's
I
this.
I love his playing.
So he has this line in one of his songs which says, "I am invincible as long as I'm alive."
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when you hear that said out loud, "I am invincible as long as I'm alive," it's incredible. And so what kind of, that was the statement. That was something along those lines that I had was, I can accomplish anything when I know what I want and why. I am unstoppable when I know what I want and why. And so that's what unstoppable is for me, is my why is pushing me beyond anything that would be perceived as an obstacle or a mountain. And that's how I become unstoppable.
Where did that come to you? Because I think obviously you've got the clarity and the vision now.
Right.
But I feel like so many of us, and I know especially me personally, it's am I this or am I that? And because you wear all of those different hats, and I think so many women wear all of these different hats as business owners, how did that focus come to you? Were you just like laying in bed and the muse showed up and it's like, this is what you're doing?
It's very Liz Gilbert, big magic kind of stuff, where I actually, this is going to sound really out there, but I actually was meditating. And then it was like a form of becoming limitless. So like I was thinking in my mind, what is it that's going to stop me? And that's when you realize there's this kind of phrase out there in our streets, which is like, you can't stop me. Can't nobody stop me. It's like, it's like, when you think of like two guys out there that are getting ready to fight, and then everyone, they're saying like, hold me back, but nobody's really holding them back. That's kind of the mental picture that I have for dreams. It's like, hold me back. Oh, wait, it's me holding myself back, talking big, not actually doing anything.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like being unstoppable is a part of that. So for example, I have to remind myself of this all the time. So you think, I want to be financially abundant. I am financially abundant. I don't know if you've heard of like Conor McGregor, who's getting ready to fight. What's his name? Oh, this is really bad. He'd be so upset that I'm forgetting his name right now. He's the big money team. He's the boxer, but he's a little tiny guy.
Oh yeah.
It'll come back to me.
Okay.
I'm going to Google it while we're chatting.
Okay.
But anyways, he does a lot of visualization. So in his mind, you're never trying to have that thing. You have it already. And so being unstoppable is when your dishwasher breaks and it's going to cost you so much more money. And you think to yourself, oh my gosh, that's cleaning me out. That's clearing me out. I don't have any money. But in fact, it's like, wait, this means I'm getting ready to have more money. Is because we all live up to our need. Right. And Floyd Mayweather, that's his name. Poor little Floyd Mayweather. He'd be so mad that I didn't know his name right now. It's okay, Floyd. One day when we meet, I will bend down and shake your hand and you will forgive me. I'm quite tall. That's why I say that. Anyways, so yes, that's a part of being unstoppable, is realizing that everything that you think is an obstacle is actually guiding you to have you receive more from yourself. It's like that great Rumi quote that says, you are the universe, ask of yourself. Right. And exactly. Emerson has some work like that. So that's what I feel that has to remind me. I feel that, okay, adversity is really abundance in verse.
That's a very interesting way to reframe all of that.
It's
like, I got some stuff to think about now.
In the yellow room, Brassy broadcast.
I know, where all the magic happens.
Yes. It's not just at the kitchen table, because we always have good pre-show conversations. But yeah, that's what I have to remind myself of. And so then when the amazing things happen, like I have a vision billboard.
Of course,
it's a vision board.
No, you have a freaking billboard.
It's a vision billboard, and it's kind of
you should.
It's a working.
I want one of those.
Get you some. You need to. Yeah, I love it because I put my greatest needs on there and desires, but I put other people's. So if you have one and you have a greatest need, let me know and by what date. And it's on. I have a double vanity mirror, and it covers one half of that because I don't use both sinks. I'm not that bossy yet. I don't need. I'm not that brassy yet.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming. So on that side, it's a living, working document. Some people have business plans. I have a vision billboard. And I tangibly look to see how I can connect people with products and places and things, and really just destiny, right? Because I love connecting people with what's next. And so when you see that in your mind beforehand of what it is that you're wanting, you put it up on that billboard or board, and you see it every single day. A great example of this happening for me, of something happening that I've seen in my mind about how to become unstoppable, was I put up there, and this is going to sound really super weird, Universe Oprah,
right?
Oprah Winfrey Network, Oprah Magazine.
Yeah.
To myself, I'm like, what does that even mean?
Right.
Like super strange. I didn't say be in the magazine. I didn't say be on television. And wouldn't you know,
you didn't define it.
Oh no, I just was like, something inside of me was that, and it seemed completely ridiculous to me at the time. I just didn't even. I was almost when these things happen, when you kind of have a big idea, you're almost ashamed to write it down. It almost seems a little bit too big, right? And I put it down there, and wouldn't you know, less than a year later, I'm on a cruise to Alaska with Oprah, Gail, editor of the Oprah Magazine team, and people from the network, DP of photography, and everything. And it happened.
Well, so I had that. I don't have very many questions at all. And I've decided I don't want to have like a bunch of questions for interviews now.
Right.
No, because again, it feels too defined.
You're becoming very Lil Wayne.
Am I?
Lil Wayne just, he drinks this thing, and then he goes in the studio and he just freestyles his raps. He actually doesn't write anything down. And that's why people have such a huge respect for him, because he operates within the flow of creativity, kind of deeper than you'd imagine from.
I got it.
Yes.
I had no idea. No. God,
but he's,
I love doing
but he's
podcasts.
Like a multi-millionaire now, because he's operating from that intentional space of creating and flow. And so that's where you're finding yourself, Jen, is in the flow.
Me and Lil Wayne.
You and Lil Wayne.
I'm so excited about that. If I was wearing bracelets, you would hear them. Because I get alligator arms when I get all excited.
Oh, me too. Yeah, like I'm running in place. Yes. I love that. I do in the car a lot of that on my own.
Yeah.
But
okay. So reel me back in now. So I got to stop saying so. That's on my list too.
Do me so me, do me so me do. Well, you're a singer. So. That's a part of it. Do me so me.
Not when I'm speaking. No. Jennifer, one of the things. I think we're going to have some outtakes for this conversation.
I love your laugh. I'm going to make it my ringtone.
Oh, God.
I'm going to have to record you, and that's going to be my ringtone for people that I respect. is your laugh. Because you can sing so well. So even your laughter is musical.
Oh, what a nice thing to say.
It's true. That's my strength and my weakness. I'm honest. So at least I've got that going for me, which is nice.
Right. That's a good, if you're going to have something going for you, that's a good thing most of the time.
Yeah.
Back to Oprah, the Oprah Cruise, because that was one thing that I did have on my list of things to ask you about. Because I was following you on Instagram. I'm like, holy crap. She's on the Oprah Cruise.
Yes.
And there's Gail.
There's Gail.
Okay. But you know who else was on the Oprah Cruise
Who
that
dat?
I also follow on Instagram? And she makes my heart so happy. Do you know who I'm going to say?
India Arie?
Yes.
She was wonderful. She's wonderful.
Tell me about
yes.
Because like Oprah and Gail are exciting.
Yes.
But for me,
India Arie is incredible. And I got to meet her, and she was so super nice. And her mother was she styled my long tee for me. She cut it and made it amazing with her scissor master scissor skills. Say that 5 times. She was incredible. I listened to her a lot growing up. Growing up in college,
right?
So, and it was amazing to see her. So, not only on this cruise do you have access to these unbelievable people, and I was saying this is a first in a lifetime opportunity, but it turned out that it's actually a once in a lifetime opportunity because they're not going to do that again in that capacity. Holland America has partnered with a lot of unique companies, including America's Test Kitchen, to have better offerings on their cruises. So now you can like go to yoga, but it's like Oprah yoga, or have a Super Soul Sunday session and listen to inspiring speakers. So they're really kind of breaking open this mold of what a cruise can be and opening up to a lot of other different types of people. So meeting India Arie and having her be on that cruise was incredible. But the thing that I did, which is a little unusual, is I brought my favorite things for Oprah and her team. Because you know how she gives away her fabulous favorite things. And they were all products from business owners in Indiana. So, all of our favorite Indiana girlfriend business owners, Amber Blends, Pop, People for Urban Progress, Pot of Shoe. We had Just Pop and Girls. We've had everybody in these bags. And so I would go around and I would gift them my favorite things. And it was an amazing opportunity to connect brands that I love with people that I respect. So it was cool to go around that ship. Now, sounds a little... there was some strategery involved.
Of course there was. I know you. I know that you don't just like show up.
I just don't show up. I show up and I show out.
Yes.
No, but I'm such a goof. But basically I had to pack and check a bag that was just for the Oprah team. That was over 50 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And so a lot of people are like, how did you get all this stuff on the on this ship? And I'm like, well,
I'm unstoppable.
I'm unstoppable when I know what I want and why.
Right.
And so that's so my hope is, my secret hope that I've got to put up on my vision board now, is that some of my favorite things are now some of their favorite things publicly. That would be an amazing, piece of fortune and blessings for those companies that gifted them, so many awesome swag bags. Yeah.
What was your favorite thing on the cruise?
The food was so delicious, and really getting to see the glacier, seeing Juneau, Sitka, Ketchikan, Victoria, all of the beautiful islands that were there. But you want to know what I took away from the cruise that kind of blew my mind, besides it being a very diverse group of people that typically are not cruising all at once, was the people that were in the service industry on the boat.
Really?
Okay. So you know how you and I think like, oh my gosh, we are working so hard. Have you seen the little girl on Facebook that's like, her name is Charlene, and she pretends like she's this kind of off-center adult, and she's pretending like she's on her phone, and she says, yeah, I've been working all day. And then she covers the phone up and she goes, looking at pictures of baby goats on Instagram, watching videos of kitty cats. And she's always saying stuff like that. Well, I feel like in America, and sometimes as a business owner, you're like, oh, I've been working all day. It doesn't really feel like it because it's a passion, right? Well, these people in the service industry are working on cruises 77 and a half hours a week.
Oh my.
11 and a half hours a day. And guess how many days off they get in their 9-month contract?
How many?
0. 0. So the same person you see serving you in the morning with their day outfit on is serving you in the evening. And they're all from over 50% on that cruise were from Indonesia and the Philippines.
Really?
And it's amazing. They're smiling, they're singing to you, but you think to yourself, perspective.
Right.
Right? I came home with a renewed sense of what work means and what exhaustion looks like, and really expectation. I mean, we know people that are serving in the military or people that are in the medical field. You hear about these kinds of hours that they are working, but to really be up close and personal with somebody who's working 77 and a half hours a week. Okay, we work maybe 8 hours a week, but no days off.
Yeah. That
was when I really, I started to observe with every great blessing and an abundant thing in your life, there always seems to be this kind of underside to that. And I've heard Jamie Foxx talk about that before, about how with every blessing, there's going to be something else that's going to kind of ground you and root you into that. So here I am having this amazing, unbelievable experience, vision board experience with Oprah. Right. But then in the same, I'm looking around and thinking, oh my gosh, like how fortunate am I that this is my abundant once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
It was unexpected. I really I didn't know that I would have that kind of encounter with and paradigm shifting relationship and conversation with myself about work. Real work.
While you're cruising on the Oprah Cruise.
Right. And but
there's a part of me that's not, because it's Oprah.
Yeah.
And she's constantly teaching in some way. Like there's a piece of me that is not at all surprised by that.
Yeah. And it was kind of like an auxiliary feature. It wasn't highlighted on the cruise. Right. Like, hey, these people will not have a day off until somebody gives birth. If someone got pregnant today, and I get it, hey, I've given birth to 2 babies. I never had a day off when I was pregnant from being pregnant. I get it. But in the same, it was just so fascinating to see and be exposed to that. And that's what travel really does, is it opens you up in a way that you didn't know before. The mind can never go back. So I can never go back from meeting Gail and having her speak about my mom and I on stage, which was so generous of her. She went around the ship and wrote people's names down so that she could give them shine, so that she could recognize them on stage and remember them. Gail is everybody's bestie.
Yeah.
I love Gail King. Just and now I understand why she's like Oprah and Gail are so ride or die. It's like, man, I want to be in that. Like, they're amazing.
I want a Gail.
Can I be a trifecta? Like, can I be a third wheel in this bestie friendship? I mean, the one person who is my best friend who doesn't know it is Tyler Perry.
Oh, well, you'll have that.
He knows. But I mean, somewhere in there, pretty soon. It's happening.
Deep down.
We've got to tag him. So this is a part of the search. Tyler, I cannot wait to meet you and have lunch. You're on my vision board.
I want to know what it was like taking this trip with your mom.
Yes. So
because she looked so just kind of like a little ray of sunshine in the pictures. Who wouldn't want to hang? I mean, you're fine, Jennifer, but your mom kind of looks like magic.
She's amazing. And in fact, I didn't realize that I had my mom basically is Oprah. Like everything that Oprah said, I had already heard from my mom over the last 30 years. So then there's that. It's almost like, oh, this is what you've been saying, intentional why living. But it just, how that happens with coaches. So my mom turned 60 and I wanted to do something out of this world for her. So we had a surprise birthday party for her in Kansas City and a video, because she was a school teacher for over, a decade for music school teacher. Oh, and cool. A lot of her students sent videos. And so my sister-in-law compiled that into a 30-minute video.
Wow.
And so it was a massive surprise. And then at the end it was, oh, and by the way, you're leaving next Friday on a cruise from Seattle to Alaska with me. Oh, and with Oprah. So
did she just about lose it?
She went crazy. And then she stood up and started moving her napkin around like she was at a Pittsburgh Steelers game and started chanting, Oprah, Oprah, Oprah. It wasn't what I was expecting. I thought she was going to cry into a puddle on the floor. She so watches the OWN network every day, big consumer, big supporter of all things Harpo Productions, So it was exciting for her. And to see my mom get to encounter parts of the world that I didn't even know existed, and glaciers and rafting and, there was even one of the islands, an entire community of homes that were the area where they used to have prostitution.
Really?
Yes, there was a woman named Annie, and this was in Ketchikan, who was from Arkansas, a woman of color, I might add, like myself, who started her own business. And her business was her body. In fact, she was really known and was an activist within the community in Ketchikan, and used to write the newspaper and say, like, how dare you judge us? We're humans too.
Oh my gosh.
She was very much active within Alaska. And then even when they outlawed prostitution in the 50s, it wasn't until the 50s in Alaska, she continued to practice and have her own business as the law would allow.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the things you learn with your mother turning 60 with Oprah in Alaska, it was pretty incredible. And these homes were little homes over the water. Like they were over this river. And you could just
delightful.
Right. Yes. For all of the sailors that were coming in. Yes.
Yeah.
And fascinating.
I mean, if you're going to go partake in that service, what a lovely, location.
What a lovely location. And so, not to get too much on a rabbit trail, I have to mention this was not my first encounter with such homes and such businesses and fempires, as we will call them.
I love that.
Yes. One time I had a gentleman say to me, "You remind me so much of Julia Roberts from Pretty Woman." I didn't know how to take that. I said to him, "Yes, but she didn't have a business." And he said to me, "That's where you're wrong, darling. Her body was her business." And I kind of thought, I still don't know how to take this compliment. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to look at the positives of this and follow the 4 agreements and be impeccable with my word. But my first encounter actually with that industry was when I was in Amsterdam with the red light district. And I don't know if you know this fun fact, but do you know why the lights are red?
I don't know why the lights are red.
So interesting. The lights are red because red lights take away imperfections. So the next time you're at a red light, look over to your honey, and then she's going to look amazing because that red light is shining on the face, and it takes away fine lines and wrinkles and like tiredness out of the eyes. So that's why they use red lights. And the red light district is, while they are in the windows, sharing what is possible.
Right.
There are these lights that are making them look even more beautiful. So and on the dark side of that, they also use these lights for mortem. So yes, when you go see a loved one who has passed away, typically there's a light with a red tinge that makes them look more lively.
Fascinating. I think for my next gig, I'll put it in my rider that I only want red stage lights.
That's exactly right. Only red. And I didn't see any red lights in Alaska. So they must have been purists of some kind.
Right. Well, isn't it dark for half the year? So.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, it kind of triggered some other memories that I had of travel and what else is out there, and what's legal in one state and what's legal in another, and it's so fascinating. Alaska had a little more going on than I was anticipating. 9,000 people living on an island. There's bound to be some tisk somewhere.
We're going there next summer. We're
Oh my gosh!
We're taking a cruise with my parents for their wedding anniversary.
Do you have the cruise line booked yet?
No.
Consider Holland America.
Okay.
It's not a sponsored plug. It's actually that legit. It was awesome.
Okay.
The president, Orlando Ashcraft, was on the cruise with us. He was amazing.
Cool.
Really, really neat. Yeah.
Okay. That's something to be investigated.
Yes.
For next
Something
summer.
to check out on the board.
Something else that I wanted to talk to you about, because you are an author.
Oh,
let's talk about your book. I read your book.
Did you really?
I read your book.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm so honored. It's not perfect, but it's authentic. That's one thing that I know.
That's why because it felt like we could just be sitting across the table.
Right.
And you could be telling me this story.
Yes.
So friends, what you may not know, Jennifer's an athlete.
Oh, former, right?
You look pretty athletic walking in those heels.
I try. I just try to stay like head over heels.
Tell us about the book. how that all came about and why you decided to write it.
And so we were chatting earlier about having a podcast, and you find that people want to pick your brain, Jen, about everything. And there's a part of you that just says, if I could centralize everything into one location, check out my course, then it can really help people. Well, I found the same thing happening with my book, with my experience of what's it like to be a Division I athlete, being a woman, being in high performance sports. So I decided to write a book about it. It is a fiction, but it is one that is inspired by events that I have witnessed or things that happened to me, with a very small amount of creative flair in that. And so, for example, the kind of scandals you hear about on television for men on ESPN are, he received a car, oh, how so scandalous. The type of scandals that you'd have within, athletics for women are, well, the head coach left his wife for a freshman.
Yeah.
So those are they seem to be more intimate type of scandals, a little bit more sexual in comparison. And so I wanted to share what the overall environment could be like. And everybody has different experiences. But so kind of the line, excuse me, the line for the book is basically exploring the shadows behind the bright lights of college athletics. So that's my book. And there's a trailer online for it if you search my pen name, my former name, which is online, and that was shot here in town. Have you seen that yet?
I feel like maybe I did, but it's been a while. But I will include the link to that in the show notes so people can be listening to this and just click.
It's 60 seconds and it kind of gets you excited about the book. Sometimes books need a little more energy around them than just a book. It's like, this is what it could look like in your mind.
Fascinating.
So it's fun. It was a lot of fun. I was heavily pregnant when the book came out.
Really?
And I wasn't able to travel and promote it like I'd like to, but there's still a possibility that it could become something bigger since I own the rights to it. So I'm excited about that part.
What was that writing process like for you? Did you just sit down and it just kind of poured out?
Yes. So turns out my mind is a lot like other people's minds, and that sometimes you have these ideas and they're kind of marinating in your mind. And I actually sat down and wrote the book from beginning to end, which is a little different way of writing things. Most of the time people have character development and outline, and then nobody ever says, hey, just sit down and write a book from beginning to end. But that's just what I did.
Jack Kerouac that right
out. You just like, boom, there's that book. And it's may not be perfect, but it's done. And it's kind of neat to say that you completed the task of saying what you were going to do and doing it, which is kind of circles back to Unstoppable, is that your word must be impeccable to yourself. Right. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that you say you're going to do it and you do it. And then you learn, like starting a podcast, it might not be great, but you just go for that thing and just do it.
Exactly.
And just be it. Right. That's more Zen. Just be it.
Right.
Or you already are it. And then when it comes down to really crazy grammar, you just get down to I am.
Yes.
And that's when you get really Zen.
Yes. Oh, to get back to that place.
Yes, I am.
It's been a while. Well, did you get any pushback on that, or what were any I can't believe she's out here writing about this.
Yeah, I don't know. The interesting thing about it is that there were a few people that they probably didn't like that I wrote a book, and that's okay. I don't like everything that they do. And I may not know everything that they do, but people were more appreciative of the fact that I took and gathered a bit of my courage to share my story. Is more about experiences that I've encountered rather than about those people that may or may not be in the book. But I definitely, I will say this: once you're out of coaching, because I was a Division I head coach for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Once you're out of that world of athletics, you're out. So whether you write a book or not, you're still out. You're not in the flow of recruiting. You're not in the flow of championships or the competitive, nasty nature. Once you're out, you're out. You're fired. Once you're done, you're done. So there wasn't a loss of any kind for sharing my story.
How did your experience impact your coaching style and even recruiting? Because after having read your book, if I had a child that was maybe going to go, Division I, I might have some concerns.
Yes. It's really the irony of that experience and how tough it made me is that I actually would do it again.
Really?
Yeah, I would do it again. Maybe I'd choose the same school, maybe I wouldn't. But I definitely, because I like to have different experiences. Right. But I think that it made me who I am today. And I have, as a lot of student athletes have, we all have this tenacity and this fearlessness because we know that nothing can ever touch us the way that sports did.
Right.
And that's something that I do want for my sons. I have 2 little guys. I want them to be able to walk into a room completely fearless, knowing that, yes, I may have been 60 seconds late to this business meeting. I was freaking out about it, but I don't have to go run for an hour and a half until I throw up. I think that's the perspective that it gives you.
Perspective.
Yeah. I mean, you're never late subsequently. Like I was freaking out. I was, when I arrived here, I'm like 5 minutes. And then I was looking to get off the phone because I hate being late. But it gave me so much power to be able to know that you can't take anything from me unless I'm giving it to you. Right. And that's something that you develop with sports.
Maybe I should have practiced a little harder.
Well,
shot more free throws at lunchtime.
Well, the thing about it is that you can hear in my voice too, the difference when I talk about sports than I talk about business and life, because I actually had to work for 5 years to become likable through direct sales. I sold skincare and cosmetics.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you. For 5 years, skincare. Girlfriend, I sold over $2,000 in 30 minutes.
No.
Skincare and cosmetics. That's a whole lot of mascara.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't need a red light.
Right. No red light not included. That's spend 40 and you get the red light for free. But yeah, that's what I had to learn how to become likable.
Why were you not likable?
Because I possess a laser focus with a fortitude that will not be denied. So that's.
Oh, I want to put that on my vision board. My God, I got to write that in my journal.
That came out one time in a very, very heated conversation. I looked at this gentleman and I said, I possess a laser focus with a fortitude that will not be denied.
That just makes me want to have you as my friend.
But
I can see how it might come off as scary and intimidating. It comes off a little,
it's got a little head tilt to the side with it. There was no snapping involved at that point. There was no that. Maybe that's when the pointing started, But that is a part of growing up at the largest sports academy in the world at IMG Florida. My childhood was very similar to the Hunger Games.
Oh gosh,
I'm not kidding you. I mean, it's a program that can cost up to $100,000 a year, and I was so fortunate to be there on scholarship. So you've got parents that have quit their job and that are just believing that their child is the next phenom. Their child is the next Maria Sharapova, who I used to train with, the next Yelena Yankovic, the next Serena Venus.
Yeah.
And so growing up, if you don't win, you go home. And I didn't want to go back to Kansas because I was on scholarship, and Kansas lacked a certain diversity that Florida had to offer. And being a very tall future extra in Wonder Woman 2, I'm just going to put that on my vision billboard, that I decided Kansas really wasn't the place for me. And so that's where all of my fight came from. So when you grow up and your dad is a former pro athlete and you have fought every day since you were, 9 years old, and you have parents that are other people's parents that are swearing at you in French and Russian and German and telling you you're not good enough. By the time you get to college and you're supposed to be a part of a team, that's hard to do. And then as a coach, to come back to the question, I would love to say that I was the person that I am today, but I was not. They had the best grades in the entire athletic department, the most community service hours. I raised far above the amount of money that I was supposed to. But for whatever reason, the expectation was that I was supposed to be likable.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Because if you were a man, that wouldn't be... Yeah, you could be the biggest jackass, and as long as you won,
well, exactly. But am I likable? And so being coachable, but also having this laser focus, that was hard for me to accept.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew that then that wasn't the place for me. But then even now I look back and I say, you know, why did I have the standards that I had? Why was I committed to excellence? For me, that is care. That is love, to expect the best out of you. But if you didn't grow up in a home where excellence is valued, you see that as being treated unfairly, or you don't see excellence as love. You think that I should be able to have freedom, maybe perhaps to do whatever I want, to come to practice at any time that I like. And so that's where beliefs collide. And so it's an interesting thing to try to coach people and get the best out of them. It really is that Maya Angelou quote of people don't remember what you say, they remember how they made you feel. And so the 5 years of direct sales got me to understand, how can I communicate and make you feel better every time that you've been in my presence? Mm-hmm. And that's what better is, instead of you performed better, but you felt bad when you left practice. Uh-huh. And so that's what I've tapped into. And I since have so many friends, and it's so expensive. I mean, they have birthdays, they get married, they have kids. And I'm like, why did I do this to myself?
I know. You could have been that unlikable.
Yeah, I should have stayed unlikable, you know, but there's no other way to live. No. Intentional living, you have to be open. I'm sure you've run into that too. It's like, oh, I just forgot another person's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's what Facebook is good for.
Facebook has saved me a number of times.
It's very good for that.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the gentleman who would unfriend people when it was their birthday?
No.
Yeah, this was like on HuffPost or something. And that's how he knew, which was a metric of, are we really friends? Do I care that it's your birthday? And then when it would be your birthday, every day, he was just for a year, he would unfriend people on their birthday, because also they're not really going to notice.
Right. Because they're getting all those wishes and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something to consider. If you have too many, quote, friends on social media, can unfriend them on their birthday.
I learned so much sitting across the table from you. It's fascinating.
Me and my trails, they just lead everywhere.
All right, I'm going to let you finish that water up there. And then
dehydration.
Oh, we don't want that. Because now I want to know what's got your creative wheels turning. What are you most excited about at this very moment in life?
I was not expecting women to respond to me the way they did at Linking Indie Women. And I spoke for over 100 women at a business group.
That was fantastic.
And now it's just a total pivot in my life. I'm getting asked to speak literally 3 to 5 times the past few weeks since then.
Really?
And that's a new direction for me. That's what I'm most excited about, is sharing in an engaging and interactive way with other people. Mm-hmm. I'm also extremely excited to be a part of the Padashu Foundation. And I really believe in my core that hunger is a man-made issue. Mm-hmm. Hunger, we invented this.
Yes.
It's not something that is a part of our world. It's a man-made function. And I feel that we can end that, and we can end that in our city within my lifetime, within your lifetime. So my mission that I'm most excited about with that is, no child goes to sleep hungry in my city. And this is a hunger-free zone. Right? Mm-hmm. You're entering a hunger-free zone. So the inner workings of how to do that get me most excited. So probably those 2 things in regards to business, and then also community.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, having been in the audience that day at the Hatch when you were speaking, I loved that, like, it was so not about you.
Yeah, right.
Even though, I mean, kind of, you were just like the conductor.
Yes.
That's all you were doing. And really engaging the audience. And I think that's probably what was so impactful, because, oh, great, we're going to go hear somebody talk for another 45 minutes. And not that that's not great and wonderful. And there are so many things that you can take away from that. But I think, again, it goes back to the Maya Angelou quote. How did you make them feel?
Right.
And they felt like, I felt great.
Yay, I'm so glad.
And I feel like there were 99 other people in the room that also had that same experience and that feeling like, yeah, I am unstoppable now.
Yes.
Now that I know what I want.
Right.
They just need your laser focus.
Yes, that's totally it. I mean, for me, I feel that that's something that I learned in sales too. Mm-hmm. So if I were to recruit you mentioned recruiting to a university, I would say, Jen, what is it that you're looking for in a Division I university? right? And you would say, oh, well, I really like to have fun and I really like hanging out with my friends. And frankly, I'm looking for a family environment. So then what am I going to do? Going to share all of those parts of the university. And I would say, oh, well, at the time, the university I was at, we've got a beach on campus. Our rooms and dorms are designed like hotels because we're in Florida, and each floor has its own gym. And oh my gosh, every month we go and serve the community and we have team dinners and it feels like family, right? So that's one type of university. But if I said to you, Jen, what are you looking for in a Division I university? And you said, gosh, I'm really into business and I like traveling internationally. I would say to you, did you know that the U.S. News and World Report just gave us this amazing business rating? And often, we have international students from all around the world because we're in Florida. So basically, I would position my university to whatever it is that you're learning and whatever it is that you need. In speaking in and sharing, I feel like that's a part of the key is I'm all about you. Right? You have to know the audience. And I am at my best when I'm just in the flow and serving the people that I'm sharing with. Like and that's what I want to, just like Lil Wayne. When I'm in my Lil Wayne flow, Young Money. He's Lil Wayne. He's so Lil. But yeah, that's when I'm most in the flow is when I go for that thing and when I'm all about you. When I'm all about you, that's when I'm at my best.
I think we're just going to leave it right there.
Thank you for having me today.
I don't know how to top that.
Oh, no, I'm just grateful to be here. I know that you have a mission of capturing voices and empowering people. And that's why I'm so excited to talk with you today, is because it is an amazing time in history and technology to be able to share your story and share your passion and have a voice. And thank you for having me on and doing that and empowering me to be able to share who I am.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to part 2.
Right.
If you found even the smallest little nugget of wisdom in this episode, please share it with a friend. You are how the independent podcasters of the world, like me, grow our audiences. You literally hold the power in your hands with your ability to tap the share button on your phone and send this episode link to one of your friends. Instagram is my jam. You can connect with me there to get the behind the scenes where my podcasting and musical worlds collide. There are also lots of cute pictures of the dog and cat. For my podcasting tutorials, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me on YouTube at Jen Eads Brassy, and that is JENEDDS Brassy. Thanks for listening. Now get out in the world and do some good.